to the Twin Cities Division.
Welcome to the Twin Cities Division.
Welcome to the Twin Cities Division.
Welcome to the Twin Cities Division.
I like mine better.
From the historic Y7 Depot, welcome to the Twin Cities Division.
Welcome to the Twin Cities Division.
Hello, Mr. Gazer. How are you tonight?
I am well, Ken. How are you?
Well, I am fantastic. But just a note for the folks out in audience land, Tom is putting a brave cheek on it. He was actually pumped full of all sorts of toxic drugs today, and so he's a little under the weather. So we're going to try to carry it, but we'll get to see his smiling face, and that's what we count on. So should we talk about what's going on in the division?
Yeah, let's do that because we have a great guest tonight. This is an absolutely wonderful guest we have tonight. So
We do. Next big thing is the operators retreat on the 24th, and you know we want new operators. But if you're interested in meeting more folks in the division, if you're interested in seeing more operations, getting more knowledge, just give us drop us a note at info@tcdnmra.org. We'll hook you up. We are going to have a live uh, um, Wednesday night event, where we talk about this operations retreat. So you get a little bit more information. Greg Dahl's going to talk to us about it. But this is going to be a terrific time. Great time to get your feet wet on operations. Great layouts. We have more layouts than we could possibly get operators for. At least that's what Greg tells me. So if you guys want to challenge that, just get a hold of us and sign up. It's $10, and we use that just to reimburse the hosts a little bit and to carry the weight for all the things that the division's doing. So slots started to fill up on January 1st. The schedule for the day is there's going to be a breakfast at the Perkins, and you can have pie before 9 o'clock. That's not a problem. And then you're going to have your first operating session from 9:30 to noon. Lunch will be on your own as you travel from one layout to the other. And then you'll operate again from about 1 to 3:30. And so you'll be home in plenty of time. Won't have to just kill yourself for a whole day. And if you've heard about operating sessions being endurance contests, and true, there are some that are, you'll find that these are nice couple hours of operations. It's a lot of fun. You'll get your feet wet. You'll meet nice people, and away you go. You'll be chomping your lips to be an operator.
Yep. Greg is going to post some of the layouts that have volunteered for this, so you'll get a taste. And when you sign up, if you have a special request, such as, let's say you want to learn timetable and train order, or you want to learn car cards, we will find a layout that suits that wish. Hopefully, we've got more layouts than you can think about. So we'll meet you. Like if you want to dispatch, we'll find a layout where you get to be a dispatcher or yard master, or if you just want to run and see how it goes, we will try and work towards that degree. So
exactly.
It's going to be great.
If you want to test your ability to discern colored pins on the top of ore cars, we've got a layout for you.
We know what. We know somebody.
We know somebody like that.
We got a person.
Modelers Retreat is March 15th and 16th. The 15th is going to be a Friday night, and Jim Brown is coming up, and he's got a phenomenal slideshow. It's just great. We're talking about slides back from the 70s to more current southern Minnesota, where a lot of us don't get to see a lot of slides from, and of course the Twin Cities in north and west and east, everywhere else. But that slideshow is going to be fantastic. He says he can go from about 6:30, 7 o'clock till 9:30. He said he'll have to cut it short, and I said, well, we'll keep going as long as people keep hanging. So we're going to have fun. You can also do you can also stake out some table space, do a setup so that you're all ready to go Saturday morning. Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, we kick it off. The coffee will be on. The donuts will be there. We'll have displays. We'll have 8 clinics going on 2 at a time all day. Modeling, presentations, friends. Come for the trains, make friends, share and learn, and have a great time. It's going to be a fantastic time.
If you'd like to help too, we'll talk to Joe and somebody. We could always use some extra people with some, especially if you have any IT expertise or computer expertise, that'd be great. But yeah, we're hoping to see everybody there. This is our premier modeling day, so this is a lot of fun. We put a lot of work into this. We hope you enjoy. And like kids, it's open to everybody. You don't have to be an NMRA member to attend. You do not have to be an NMRA member to attend.
Right.
So I'll say that again, but you do not. This is just come on out. Twin City. We got people coming from Wisconsin, Australia, whatever. It's going to be great. This is like the funnest day of the year.
It is. And just to reinforce what you said, Tom, the TCD is a 501c3, and that was set up by Lester Brewer and some guys some years ago, and And so part of that is we have an outreach and an educational requirement. And so that's why we hold these events. Yes, we do have some private meetings because we have to conduct business, but we do everything we can to build the model railroad community because that's what it's all about.
Right. And our community, we love our community because that's what we can do. And like Ken says, the NMRA for insurance reason puts a limit on how many meetings you can attend without a member, but those are just the meetings. They are not any of the events we put on. Operators retreat, modelers retreat, skills day, picnics. You're all welcome.
Yep.
You are so welcome to come and meet us and join us and enjoy the fun with us. So
exactly. You know, the NMRA, the value of the NMRA, a big chunk of it is the sharing and the learning and the friendships you get. It's like anything else in life. It's not a straight go to the Target store and pay $50 and get $50 worth of merchandise. We have to provide a lot more than that. So the Minnesota Free Mode, the HO people are still down in the Burnsville Mall. We understand they're keeping that whole mall afloat. The train show pop-up train store is right across the shop from it, across the aisle from it, and I understand it's got a lot of really neat stuff. So please stop in and see them. The Free Mode is set up so that it's got some operation and the ability to watch a train go round and round. So
yeah, it's great
nice.
for the family. Bring the kids.
Yep.
Hobby shop has all levels of models and kits, a lot of consignment, a lot of used. You could probably pick up your piece of track for the Crossing Gate Challenge if you want to try and make Easy Track into looking more real. We're going to help host that. So
yep. And you know, and that's a great point. And I'll swing back. One of the first clinics you're going to see at the modelers meet is how to make your track look more prototypical. And so we're going to have a clinic based on lots of pictures taken on prototypical track, things that you can do to make your track look better. So grab your piece of track and bring it to the clinic and go away with something you can use for the convention to do our pop-up contest. Then the train show or annual convention, sorry, the Sawdust City Hauler, and on the 31st we're going to have that gang from Eau Claire in doing a Wednesday night live with us. We're going to show you lots of pictures of all the special things that they've got going on down there. $35, $45 for non-NMRA members. The hotel, the Sleep-In and Conference Center, and 29 Pines Restaurant. $85 a night special for TLR guests. And I know you're saying to yourself, is that all night? And yes, it is. It's all night.
Yes.
It's a heck of a deal. And again, this is a great spot for you. If you're thinking about joining the NMR, here's a great spot for you to come and meet the people, see all the wonderful things we're doing, and it'll convince you why you want to be part of our group. We have a speeder trip, and it's limited to the first 70 people that sign up. And the sign-up sheet is on tcdnmra.org website. We'll have train rides at the Carson Cities behind a live steam locomotive. The Sawdust City Logging Museum is going to be open. I understand Lion and Kugels is going to be open for tours. I just heard tonight that on Friday night, Bonnie Menard is arranging a wine and spirits tour. And I'm waiting to see more about that because that might be something I have to sign up for.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Full clinic.
I'll be your designated driver, Ken.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Full clinic list, and the clinic list, I'm just collecting pictures right now to go with all the clinics, and that list will be up on the website soon. Layout tours, banquet and awards night, and the famous lucky ticket raffle, all going on 3 days in May, just across the border in Wisconsin. You don't need to get a travel visa to go there, and it's going to be just a great time.
Yep. So let me know if you're planning on attending to that. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Scale Model Supplies.
Yep.
Wonderful place to get parts, paint, styrene, magazines, and maybe even some repairs. They're really kind to us.
Yep.
Put us on the website. And Hub Hobby, like to thank them. They're always generous with gift certificates for our events, for prizes. And make sure you check out both their locations. They're always adding paints and glues and everything. I head over there for a lot of that, so they're handy.
Yep. Very true.
All right, Ken.
All right, sir. Well, thank you very much. And I see that we've got a whole host of people joining us. Let me see if I rail artist. That's our friend Mike Penn, who's down in West Virginia now, but it was a longtime TCD member. Jim Rams is here. Corn Country Rails, I think that's Tony. Chris Bell, hello, hello. Art Sewell, our fearless potentate from the Thousand Lakes region. Tom Tennyson's here. Facebook user, he's no picture and a pseudonym like that. He must be hiding from somebody, probably hiding from the IRS.
Yeah.
Jay Bickford's here, and Jay has offered another one of these programs for us, and we'll get back to him. So we may have to go longer into the season. Randy, our assistant superintendent's here. Lee's here. Colin's here. Colin's working on a cement factory for the convention. Randy tells us we almost got 700 people signed up. What else we got here? Bonanza Valley and Western. He was our guest last week, and he's already sending more information for us. So, gosh, we're going to go up and see about getting him a golden spike and get him started on some other things.
That would be great.
Chicago, Denver, and Northern. Alex Mantle. Howdy, Wyoming. Is that Alex who came all the way from Wyoming to the TLR convention last year? I think it is. Well, I hope he comes back because it was fun having him here. So again, say hi, hit the like button if you like it. If you don't like it, hit the guy next to you. Don't talk to us. Yep. Okay, tonight our guest is Paul Butkowski. Paul is from Sauk Rapids, and if you notice, that the NMRA or the Thousand Lakes region goes from western Wisconsin to Montana, from northern Iowa up to the North Pole. Well, the TCD can't completely claim all that space, but we say if you're in the NMRA, you're welcome to be part of the Twin City Division. So let's bring Paul in here. There he is.
Hey, guys.
And Paul, we met Paul, at least I met Paul at one of the modelers meets, and we'll get into that a little later. And then Paul's layout was also featured on one of our Friday night lives. And that was about 3 years ago, Paul?
I believe so, right? Beginning of COVID, I think they started that. So if you want to see it, just go to William Sampson, Sue the Milwaukee Road, and look at his videos. It's buried in there somewhere.
Well, what can you tell us about that layout that we saw 3 years ago?
Well, it started about 20 years ago when I first acquired this room and came up with some harebrained idea to cram as much as I possibly could into this room. Because 20 years ago, big layouts were the thing. So I needed a big layout and I needed everything. So I'm a truck driver by trade. And at the time, our trucks didn't have radios in them. So I had a lot of time to think. And this is what I came up with. And for the most part, I really enjoyed it. It had some pretty serious limitations, though, and that's kind of what led me down the road to making a change. So
when you decided to make the change, about how much of it was done?
It was about 60% scenic. There was no open plywood. I mean, everything was covered with something, but there was a lot a lot more scenery work to be done on it, but it was fully operational. My cousin Corey and Uncle Brian, they're both trained nerds too, so we hosted about 30 operating sessions, I suppose, over about a 10 or 15 year span.
Great. Paul, I hate to ask a penetrating question right away, but I can say that my layout, there's hardly any bare plywood on it also, but that's only because I've got so much junk piled on it.
Hey, whatever works.
Oh, okay. So you're not you're not saying that. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with the Plywood Pacific.
Yeah. So you had about 30 operating sessions. You ran it a bunch. Were you having problems with it, or what was it that caused you to want to make a change?
Well, trying to cram so much into an 11 by 20 foot room. It's 3 decks. So unfortunately, towns got stacked on top of each other. So when it came to operating, you're either having to wait for somebody to move out of the way, or you're fighting with each other for space. And the second concession was the aisleways are pretty narrow. So there's a lot of rubbing of guts and butts. So yeah, you had to be on at least on speaking terms to come down and operate.
See, there again, that's another one of those problems. I used to find my aisleways seem to have shrunk over the years because I used to be able to sneak between a couple people, but now that doesn't seem to work anymore.
I know, it's weird how that happens, how they shrink over the years.
I think we're inventing new terms with every guest. Last week we had Roomba modeling, and now we have rubbing of guts and butts. So I'm liking this. This is new sponsors for the podcast.
There
you go. Great. So anything else that was bugging you about the layout?
Yeah, and it was my own doing. When I hooked up the Digitrax system, and it's got nothing to do with Digitrax, it's all on me. I wired the LocoNet wrong. The jumper cables from the UP4 panels or UP5 panels, I bought factory wires from Radio Shack that had the ends already put on them, and just clipped them in thinking it would work just fine. Well, I didn't realize that Digitrax requires the little clippy. If you stretch the wire out, one has to be on the top and one has to be on the bottom. So all the jumpers, and there was probably 5 of them, were all the wrong way, and it just snowballed. I had nothing but troubles with decoders. I kept frying them. I would have trains just take off and run full bore. It was awful, and it was getting frustrating. I was very tired of replacing decoders because I thought it was a decoder and how I was programming it. And I had finally had enough, and Corey came over, and he actually diagnosed it for me. And we got it fixed, but now there's 30 locomotives with funky decoders in them. Do I take the time to replace them all? And all this was going on about the time Corey and I attended our first modelers retreat a couple of years ago. And I kind of just let the problem go and say, I'm done. I'm not going to replace anything. We're going to start over.
Well, let's start here. Of course, I got to start with slide 1. Let's talk a little bit about what starting over means. So I'm going to put you up here on the screen. This is Paul, and Paul we're showing him here doing some weathering at a skills day. And if you were at the convention last year, you saw that Paul actually set up a air compressor and a spray gun and was doing some demonstrating in the breakfast nook at the hotel. So this guy's got crazy skills, and he's not afraid to share them. So let's go to slide 1, and you can kind of talk us through what we're seeing here.
Well, the photo on the right, that shows the 3 decks of the layout. The bottom deck was about 3 feet off the ground. I suppose the middle deck was 48 inches, and the top there is probably closer to 60 inches. The bottom layer or level, that was the town of Avon. The middle level was the west end of Alexandria, and then the top level was just some open running between Dalton and Fergus Falls, the staging yard. And then, of course, it's piled with junk now because it's getting tore down. The photo on the right, that's the eyesore I've got to look at right now in that corner. But the bottom level on the right side was coming out of staging, and then it went around, it looped around 180 degrees and went into Collegeville and Avon. And the middle level, where the screwdriver is, that was the end of Sauk Center. And then the upper level by the hammer, that was Brandon on one side and Evansville on the other. But the mess on the left side is actually going to stay there, unfortunately, for a little while. 'Cause while I'm tearing down parts, I am also going to start rebuilding. And that's actually going to start this weekend, but it's all coming down in 5-gallon buckets being hauled out of the house. We have a 4-level house, so anything that goes outside, I've got to travel 3 levels with it. So if I want to keep peace at home, I got to keep things clean. So it's all neat and organized, and whatever I can fit in the trash that week goes in the trash can.
There you go. So you were talking about real towns, Paul, and you were telling me that you consider yourself a proto freelancer. So how do you? So tell me about how that works in your world.
Well, the layout was set to run between St. Cloud and Fergus Falls on the old Great Northern Line, with Alexandria kind of being the operational hub. But I didn't want to tie myself down to this individual customer or this, town looking a certain way. I kind of wanted the creativity to make things how I wanted. I just used the real town names. And a lot of the industries were real industries, but some were on the Sioux line and some were in different towns. I just moved them to where I wanted them to be.
Right. And now, again, for those of you that would like to know, that in the Crossing Gate podcast world, that's called the Dave Hamilton Geography Bender.
Hey, it works.
It works. There you go. Okay, tell us about this slide, because this is kind of interesting.
Okay, the photo on the left, that's my helix, and there's actually 2. There's an inner helix and an outer helix. And what I used 3/4 inch plywood and cut it into a 3/4 inch thick strips and made spline. I just glued them all together, and that's what the roadbed of the layout was. So when you cut the plywood a certain way, it bends really easy without breaking. You can bend it in the corners. It worked really well. It's actually super solid. I've never had any expansion or contraction problems in 20 years because it's all basically one piece.
Sure. Now you said that was 3/4 inch plywood cut 3/4 inch wide?
3/8 inch plywood.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Cut into 3/4 inch strips. So I wanted it to match the thickness of the plywood that I used in the towns on the flat sections.
Okay, sure.
And like I said, it worked fantastic.
Okay.
So then the photo on the right, that's the white bands where the bench work was. And that wall is actually going to come down. And
Okay.
helix is going to be tore down. Like I said before, I think I might have somebody that wants the helix. So I'm hoping they decide to take it. I'd rather give it to somebody than let it end up in the garbage can. So if that falls through, I'll make a posting if anybody wants a helix. So
Okay.
9 turns and 24-inch radius, but I
Okay.
never had an issue with it in 20 years.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So, all right. That's kind of neat. And so here we are.
Yeah, so the photo on the left that's the longest wall in the room right now, or the longest continuous wall. It's about 20 feet long. And that's where my Alexandria and the yard was. And so I cleaned all that out, patched all the plaster or the sheetrock, got it all painted up nice. And that's what you see on the left, or the right
Okay.
side, sorry. Then in
Yep.
the corner above that gray box, I'm actually going to start testing bench work this weekend. Testing heights and getting stuff figured out before I get too crazy. Because I want to actually start building the new layout so I have something to fart around with while I'm tearing the old down, and we'll just keep working my way around the room. You know, I figured it would be a 2-year project, and I'm 3 months into it, and I'll be building bench work.
So some of the things that I'm seeing here are in the left-hand picture, you have 3 full buckets to go to the trash. And in the right-hand picture, they're empty. So that's progress.
Yep.
And you said that wall that we see on the right, on the left-hand picture, is that the wall that's going out?
Yep, that's the wall it's coming down. So it'll be a wide open 11 by 20 foot room.
Okay.
Instead, it's all segmented up, and it's kind of a maze in here right now.
All right. Cool. That's neat. And then you've got a drop ceiling. Do you have fluorescence or do you use LED tubes in there?
They're fluorescents right now. I probably will switch to an LED light once that'll probably be the last thing I do is put the ceiling in.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So good. All right. And so here's your track plan for what you're trying to do. So talk us through that, if you would.
Well, it's pretty generic, and a few things might have changed in my head already, and they'll probably change again. But on top, you can see it says staging. There's going to be about a 16 or 17 foot long track that I'm just going to use to stage a train, and there'll be about a 12-inch high backdrop in front of it. So that's where, when we operate, all the trains will start, or the one train will start out of that staging track, and it'll head out to the left. That as you round the curve, that first switch, that'll just be basically for continuous running when I want to just goof around. But then it'll come down, and the first stop it'll make is in this branch line yard, where it'll drop cars for a switcher that'll be sitting there. And then that switcher will switch everything on that peninsula. And I still have to do some testing on radius and stuff like that to get everything right. I'm thinking right now it's drawn at about a 36-inch radius, which I think should work for S. You know, some of the cars will be smaller for a little 4-axle switcher. So we'll see if it works. I might have to kick the lower leg out the other direction, maybe, to make it more of an S curve to get in there. But that's just stuff I have to learn about S scale.
Sure, but you'd like to keep with a 36-inch radius.
I think on that one, and then the main line will be 40. I think be a little
Okay.
bigger.
Sure.
So then the other train will continue around back up to the top. Well, first I should say the first switching district on that peninsula is going to be similar to what the Minneapolis, Northfield, and Southern or Progressive Rail have in Bloomington. I think it's like 90th or 94th Avenue, or there's a track that does make a 180-degree bend like that. I'm just adding a few more businesses in there, and should keep a guy busy for a little bit.
Sure.
And as we
So
go around, oops, go ahead,
So
Ken.
you see that as one operator space.
Yeah, one operator he'll stand in between, the yard and the peninsula in that little slot. He should be able to switch everything out there. And then the area up on top will be another kind of a switching area. And that'll be loosely based on the Minnesota Commercial up in Roseville, up behind the old Dutch potato chip plant. There's a couple of great big warehouses. So we'll add some big warehouses. Right now I'm thinking, one might be 8 feet long. It's going to be big, so it's going to suck up a few cars. And then where the building that says Steel Company, that's actually going to be modeled after West Central Steel in Wilmer. So that'll be open so you can see inside the building from the aisle, and they unload steel beams from Gons and flat cars. So, and then off to the right, that chemical where it just says Chemical Company, we'll come up with something that looks good. We can play around with some tank cars, kind of like Dan Dosa's Chemical Company that he's got, where it's be kind of a switching puzzle.
So I'm impressed here by a number of things. One is your aggressive use of the geography bender.
You have to.
I absolutely agree. The other thing I like is one of the things I think is great about our division is we have people that share what we're doing, and we can take inspiration from what they're what they're using. So I'm kind of interested in how all these industries work, because it's always fun to figure out if I have a new car I want to buy, what kind of an industry that would use.
Well, and I came up with kind of an industry list to determine what kind of freight cars I wanted to acquire or build. There's a few guys that I've seen either in magazines or I've watched on YouTube that once they're in the magazine, they're modeling N scale, and the next they've got a huge HO layout, or they change eras. And I'm like, how in the heck do they get all the equipment? So I'm acquiring all the equipment first, according to all the industries that I kind of have laid out, so that once I get it going, I'm ready to go, just like those other guys did.
Huh. So this is a real rare situation I'm hearing from you, and I don't think I've heard about this in model railroading before. You're buying equipment to fit what you think you might want, instead of buying equipment so that you have twice as much as you ever could use, and then figure out how you can enlarge in your layout.
Well, I never said I wasn't buying twice as much as I'd ever need.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good.
There's just a lot of cars for those industries, but we'll build some drawers somewhere, and we can pack ones away and bring new ones out.
Okay.
Always be rotating.
All right. So let's see. Any Tom, you've been highlighting some things. Are there anything else that we should ask Paul before we go on?
Yeah, let me put up some questions here for you. Why S scale?
Good question. I I've always been interested in larger scales. I actually modeled in O scale for quite a while, 25 years ago. But at that time of my life, I couldn't afford it anymore. O scale was, you had to be rich at the time for O scale. It was before Atlas came out with all their stuff. So it was all brass and, a few plastic manufacturers. I just couldn't afford it. And I did dabble in S a real little bit about 15 years ago. But I guess I may be stepping on toes here, but I realized then that there is a limitation on S scale. And so I just chose to stick with HO at the time. What really bit the bug is at the modelers retreat 2 years ago. It was Corey and I went for our first time. And Ken had some real nice stuff, and Mike Ostertag had some nice stuff set up. And I think Shane Lambert had a display, and I think Tom Lemon might have been there. And
Yep.
I just kept looking at those models and looking at them. I'm like, they're really nice. It's really nice stuff. And it's big, but it's not too big. And it really intrigued me. So it was a week after the modelers retreat, I did a deep dive on eBay, and I found a couple of just generic 50-foot boxcars from American models, undecorated, and I bought them. I'll just buy them, look at them. The more I looked at them, the more I thought this could really be something. Now you add into it all the issues I was having, and it just kind of all fell into place.
So other people wondering how you attached those 3 levels to the wall.
Just basically with 3-inch screws. The deepest part of the old layout was only a foot. There's some that are only 6 inches. Most of just where it was open running was 6 inches.
Okay.
So I never had any sagging or anything.
I got it. So what's the desired minimum in S scale? And you and Ken can probably weigh in on this.
That's a good question. I have no idea. That's something I have to test out. I mean, Ken would know more about that than I ever would.
It's like with HO or anything else. I have a one curve that goes back into an industry that's 18-inch radius, and the flanges squeal on a 40-foot boxcar and a little switcher. I wouldn't put an 85-foot passenger car back there. But it depends. Like, Paul, what kind of equipment are you going to be running? What are you going to run for engines on your layout?
It'll be switch engines. I have an SW 1500 and then a couple of SW 1500 kits that I'm going to put together, and then a Jeep 9. I've got a couple brass engines, but I don't think I'll do anything with them. They're a little bit bigger.
All right.
We
have the chicken and egg question here for you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, do your purchases dictate the industries, or the industries dictate the cars you purchase?
The industries dictated the cars, definitely. Because, well, it kind of was to what I could find, readily available. So I picked industries that I could easily buy cars that would fit that industry. And there are a few where there's nothing available. So I got into kit bashing and scratch building cars. So I'm making my own to fit my industries now.
Cool. Well, that's, and based on what you're talking about, the 30-inch radius is going to be plenty. You could probably get by with 24, but 30 would certainly be 30 or 32 would certainly work.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
All right,
So
you're going to hand lay track or switches, or what are you going to do here in S scale?
The switches will all be hand laid, and then the track will come from, well, it used to be Tamalco, and now it's S scale track. I'll just buy a ready track or ready made flex track, and then
What code is it? What code is S scale?
I already have some track now in code 183, so it'll be a mixture. Some of the main line will be 100, and then sidings and stuff will be code 83.
Yep.
And I'm actually going to attempt, I haven't done it yet, but to take my HO scale turnouts and reuse those to try to make S scale turnouts.
Well, good luck on that. So.
We'll see if it works. I'm not sure.
And you look like you're modeling modern era, correct?
It was going to be the mid 90s, but now I had to change it to about the year 2000 because of the latest boxcar I just finished.
Okay, so 2000.
So I'm going to stick with it right around 2000.
Well, speaking of boxcars, Mr. Zeska, why don't you show off some of Paul's modeling, because people want to see how good this guy really is.
Let's do that, because we're going to move that one and add this one. So, of course, as luck would have it, I didn't go back to slide one. So we're going to start at slide one, Paul. So tell us about what you got here.
Well, these are just the plain Jane American Models tank car kit. But coming into this, I didn't want all my freight cars to look like everybody else's. And I chose to, add the bands, paint them a little different, weather them up. So even though they're the exact same kit, I think they will eventually look a little bit different just because of the different paint jobs. And I've got more than that. Some are blue, all different colors of tank cars. I think it'd be enough to trick my eye or an operator's eye, so they actually think they are different cars, even though it's the same car. So we'll see.
Okay.
It's a nice kit.
It is.
These two are almost completely scratch built cars out of styrene. I saw a article in Railroad Model Craftsman. They're a Pullman standard 3,000 foot or 3,000 cubic foot 2-bay covered hopper. And I just used the plans right out of the magazine. The only factory parts on there, the hatches are from a Pacific Rails kit, and then the walkways are from Des Plaines Hobbies. The brake rigging is I bought off Shapeways, and then trucks and couplers. Otherwise, everything is all evergreen styrene. Even the bays, the whole works.
Wow.
These two are just, they're each American Models boxcars. They're more modern car. They have a one plug door and the sliding door. So I think I stripped the paint off of these. What they originally were, they were all beat up and partially broken. Added all the grab irons, custom paint and weather. Again,
I really like the weathering job you've done on the roof. That's really great.
Thanks. I was attempting the hairspray method, and if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's kind of a long process, but I really like the look of it when it works out. There's sometimes I don't get it to work out as I want it to.
Are you going to be at the modelers meet so we can ask you to go through that with us?
Absolutely. I will be there, toys in hand.
Great. Appreciate that.
Now, these two started out as 3-bay covered hoppers, and I chopped the middle bay out and shortened them up into cement hoppers. The yellow one in the foreground was the first car that I've done, and I did an article how-to article on this car that's in S-Scale Resource magazine. Of course, I can't remember exactly what issue it was in, but that was in the magazine. The car in the background is still a 2-bay car, but it's slightly different. It's a newer car, so it has a different ribs on the top, different bays, and then the angle by the ladders is different. I had to change all that. So then all the end cages are all custom made, custom decals.
That's impressive work.
A lot of work. Now this car here is just another one of those plain Jane American models cars, but I wanted it again to look different. So I added all the waffles on the side, and it is modeled after, I think it's like a Main Central or a Guilford car. So all the rows of waffles are in the correct spot according to that photo that I took it from. And then just again in S scale, decals are a little limited, so there was nothing available for Guilford or Main Central or whatever it was at the time, so it just got patched out, and I like how it turned out.
How many waffles?
Too many.
Never enough waffles. Come on.
It's not as crazy as rivets.
Yeah. That's
another story. These two are S-Scale America cars. The Railbox car in the background was the first S-Scale car that I weathered. And Railbox cars get all nasty and dirty. So I didn't want to go too far on the yellow. It's easy to get carried away. And then the nice silver patch is, a replacement piece. Some forklift driver got a little overzealous and put a hole in the roof, so they had to patch it out. Then the car in the foreground is a complete repaint. My all-time favorite boxcar scheme is that orange with the cream band down the middle. I don't know why. I've always loved those cars, and I still see them on the CP rail coming through Paynesville when I'm at work sometimes. And it was all painted and weathered off of a photo. That's the actual car. And this one I entered into the modeling contest at the convention last summer, and it took second place in the People's Choice. So I'm kind of proud of that. These two cars are from a company called Rail Stuff. Yeah, Train Stuff.
Train Stuff.
Both these kits are over 40 years old for sure, closer to 50. The Bangor and the Roostuk car, when I opened the box, I bought it on eBay, and it was a box of strip wood and sheet metal. I'm like, what in the heck? So I converted all the wood and sheet metal into styrene. So it's basically an all new rebuilt car out of styrene. And I just used the ends and the roof, I think, were the only thing I reused out of the car. The car in the foreground was an old basket case car that Ken gave me last year at the Modelers Retreat. And I knew it had some good bones to it, but it took a while to find an actual prototype photo. I had a picture of a Burlington Northern car, but it was from the end and I couldn't read the number on it. So I kept searching and I found this BNSF car, and it's not 100% match, but it's pretty darn close. So this is the reason why I'm moving up to the 2000 era, because of the BNSF.
So Paul, somebody's asking about these kits. What are you paying for your kits?
The S-Scale America cars, if you buy them through Des Plaines Hobbies, they're about $50 a piece. But they have a crazy 25% off sale like every Father's Day. So I just go nuts and buy a bunch of stuff. The American Models ones, if you buy them from them, they're also right around the $50 range. But I get most of them off the American Models cars off from eBay, from anywhere from 15 to 30 bucks a piece. So they're real similar to Athearn Blue Box, but it's good bones, really nice kit, makes a good car. These two cars, the one in the background that's a factory painted car from American Models, but they didn't paint the ends black and the roof black. So I just painted those black. And the car in the foreground was just a complete repaint. I found some Corinth and Counts decals. So it's kind of a Corinth and Counts patch out. And it's patched out for Mike Ostertag's Farland Terminal layout. And then the roofs on both of those cars is using that hairspray weathering technique. This one here is it's by Pre-Sized Models. It's a resin kit with real wood decking. And then the steel load is just styrene that I painted gray and weathered. And then the J-bars are just styrene with brass rod. So this car I'm really proud of too. It took first place for the People's Choice at the convention last summer. So that made me pretty happy with this car.
So what is this Farland Terminal you speak of?
It's some strange short line from some guy in Green Bay. Once you cross that river, it gets a little strange.
It gets a lot of strange, yeah.
I have to be careful. My daughter lives across that river.
Oh, wait a minute.
These three are my latest pride and joy. These are 100% scratch built out of styrene, with the exception of the trucks and the brake detail. And on the sides, I wanted them dented up. And I have always hated how guys take the soldering iron to the car. I never thought that looked right. So I thought, why not use just 10,000 styrene? And you can see in that first car, all the denting in those panels. And that was just done with my fingernails and a screwdriver, just to create random dents. And when you see these cars in person at the modelers retreat, you'll want to send me right off to the funny farm, because this is a Greenville car and they're riveted. And I bought a pack of Archer rivets, and each side has 250 rivets on the car.
So you did count them.
I did, yeah.
You learned a nickname for that,
Insane.
Rivet counter.
Yeah, rivet counters. Yeah. So you've been showing pictures of those gondolas, if I can go back for a second, in progress. Where have you been posting those?
On my Facebook page a little bit, which is Corey and I share a Facebook page. It's called the Central Minnesota and Western Alexandria and St. Cloud divisions. But these cars, I did an article again for S-Scale Resource Magazine, and they will. I think they might squeeze it in the next issue coming out here.
Great. We'll get some copies of that and bring it to the modelers meet so people can see that.
Right. I'll print some out too.
Good. So.
And this is my latest creation. The roof was from the box of train stuff parts that you gave me. And what can I make with that roof? And let's do a rail box car has the ghosted out lettering, because I think that was a Pullman standard car, because only one of the versions of the rail box car, the lettering ghosted out on it. So I have the decals, and I'm in the process of putting the ribs on. So otherwise, other than that roof section, which is resin, everything else will be styrene, and then I have doors that are resin that I'll put on there. So I'm just in the process of putting the ribs on right now.
Great. Well, I appreciate that. That's good because you gave us some ideas. Gave us some ideas of what you're doing as you're redesigning your layout. Gave us some neat ideas about how you built your bench work. I like that idea of the 3/8 inch plywood cut, and you say that formed a 24-inch radius curve.
Yeah, with no problems at all.
Boy,
And
that is really neat.
And when you glue, I glued it's 4 or 5 sections, I think, or 5 pieces. You glue them together just with wood glue, and it's solid as a rock. It, like I said, I never had any problems with shrinking or expanding or contracting. Never any issues with the track, getting out of whack or anything. It held up really nice.
Because people do talk about how things shift, and I certainly can attest that most of us can. Things shift with the seasons, and you just never had any trouble with that.
Nope. No, in the summer I run a dehumidifier down here. I had to shut it off so it wouldn't make some noise. But even if I didn't, I wouldn't have any trouble with it because it's basically all one piece of plywood.
Sure. So, and do you have a favorite railroad when you're not doing your proto freelance?
I was born and bred a Burlington Northern guy, so, and BNSF, and us Butkowskis have railroading in our blood. We've got it's my great uncle was a painter at the car shops in St. Cloud, so. And I think he painted the Hustle Muscle that's up in Duluth. He redid that. And then, my Uncle Brian runs for the Northern Lines up here. So, but I've always been a Burlington Northern guy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That is great. That's great.
So hopefully,
Paul,
I'm sending some guys to get a link to your Facebook page so we can go look at how you did this step by step.
Right.
And,
yeah. There's.
I did see that you said you had him at the convention. Have you applied for any of the NMRA AP certificates yet?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I kind of could kick myself. I should have applied for the Golden Spike before I tore everything down, but oh well, lesson learned.
Yeah. But I'm thinking as you're building your layout, the same thing that I did with the split rock is as you go through the building phase, have people evaluate it. When hey, here's my track, just do civil engineering. Here's my wiring. Here's electrical. Here's my cars, And if you're writing about them, there's your author. I'm like, you're a natural. You're a natural. It'd be a great example of how to go through the system. And like we said, we're dragging Ken Borowski through it and Joe Binish and a few others because I believe you're a master model railroader. You just need the paper. No one's doubting you after seeing these scratch builds and your layouts and how you're doing it. So
it's something I think about on and off. It's right now it's not a super priority, but I am documenting everything just in case. So
right.
Paul, one of the things that I think is an advantage of the achievement program is because you're documenting things and you're taking time to show people how you did it, you inspire other people. And, getting a certificate is nice, but knowing that you've got 4 or 5 other people that have learned from you and are now enjoying the hobby more, I think that's even more rewarding. At least for me, it is. So we'll be happy to help you on that. And I may even have to finish mine up. I've got one left to go. So, but
I enjoyed helping at those modeling clinics too. That was fun.
Yeah.
I don't know everything, but I'm good at a few things. And if I can pass it along, what the heck?
Well, sure appreciate that. Sure appreciate that. So, and there's another advertisement for you to go to the tcdnmra.org webpage and get a form and sign up for the modelers meet. Go ahead and sign up for the convention also, because we're just going to have tons of great things to see, and it's good people and a lot of fun, and that's really what it's all about. We want to be a big tent. We want to have a lot of happy people inside of it. So even if they're counting rivets and
You're gonna have Corey
waffles.
on here next. Is that what we're gonna do? We're gonna get Corey on here, and
He's bashful.
No, Corey will have to be a little farther down the line, because right now, if you've looked on the TCD NMRA webpage, you'll see that we've got a full schedule out through the end of February. And the challenge is that I've got people that are saying, "Oh, me too, me too, me too." So, as long as there's great content and people want to be involved, that's really what it's all about. Because, I'm not a star. There's some real stars in the TCD, but you guys are the ones that make this all worthwhile, and I sure appreciate a chance to get you online and get you, So now, when you see Paul at the modelers meet, feel free to ask him for his autograph, and if you have a picture of Tom Gazier's one of his cover shots, feel free to bring it over to Corey and ask him to sign it.
yeah,
So.
It's $20 still. I think Corey might be 30 because he's a much better modeler than me. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd charge him at least 30.
There you go.
S-scale. It's S-scale.
There you go. Okay, friends. Anything else from the folks out in the audience there that we're missing? Corey, feel free to bring some more slides. We'll at the TCD booth, or at the Crossing Gate booth at the convention, we have no problem just putting little videos to cycle through while we're not there, because we'll be either in the bar or in the we'll be in the clinic rooms or on the layout tours. So there you go.
And I would think that I was going to say, at the modelers retreat, are you giving a clinic?
No, not.
Okay.
Joe asked, but I didn't really have anything planned or anything like that. So, and that maybe another time.
Okay. Be good to see you attend. Your displays are amazing.
Yep.
And I think that's why, like when Mr. Zeska formed it, we called it the modelers retreat instead of a prototype, because we want to include your awesome models, freelancers, crazy iron ore haulers. Anybody's welcome at our modelers retreat, and bring the ones in progress.
Yes.
Your gondola at the Modeler Skills Day just blew us all away. That was just such awesome modeling.
Yep.
It's almost a shame to paint it, isn't it? I get that far.
I think it looks a lot better painted, actually.
Looks a lot better, but then you think, well, who did that? Scale Trains, Tangent? And you're like, no, that's a Butkowski right there.
Yeah, one of a
There you
kind.
go. One of a kind. All right. Well, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, thank you very much for joining us. You want to take us out of here, Tom, and we'll head out for the evening, off into the sunset.
Yes, I will finish up here. Thank you, everyone.
Yep.
And make
Thanks,
sure
Paul.
Thanks for having me.
you like it and subscribe. Thank you, guys.
Bye.